I want to welcome you to Growth Group. Thank you so very much. For these next few weeks, we're going to join together and learn together. We're going to be inspired together. And thank you for being here. And I pray that at the end of this semester that your life is enriched and blessed and fully alive, and that God is blessing you in amazing ways. A few months ago, I came across a resource called I Like Giving. Really, when I picked up this book, when I began to look at it, read it, I thought it was about giving finances. I thought about it's giving of money. But little did I know that it really was about the condition of my heart. And as I read it, as I allowed its stories and it's just what its message was trying to communicate, I was inspired to bring it to our church and to bring it to the growth group and to allow its teaching just to inspire our hearts and our lives. My goal is very clear this semester. I'm trying to awaken a generous heart in each and every one of us. There is a transforming power about living a generous life. And really, our hearts are awakened when we are inspired by stories, when we see things, when we hear things that awaken something that's true in all of us. You may have read it, you may have seen it, someone may have told you. And all of a sudden, you feel something deep inside of you that is just awakened about this idea of being generous, about giving, because that's the way God made us. There was a young lady, her name was Abigail, and I've known Abigail a long time. Her mom and dad are dear friends of ours. And her mom and dad have been in missions work for many, many years. She's literally traveled around the world, and to see this young lady who is just growing and just a pretty dynamic young lady. I knew that she was adopted. I knew her mom and dad couldn't have children of their own, and so they went through the process, and finally this wonderful gift, this wonderful baby came into their life, Abigail, and became a part of their family, and they're just a beautiful family. Well, just recently, I got the other side of Abigail's story. And her story begins in Texas. There was this couple that there was a troubled niece in their family. The wife of this couple had a niece that was really in a bad situation, and they were wondering whether they should take this niece into their family, into their home, into their life. And so they counseled with their pastor. And when the details came out, the pastor looked at them and said, I would strongly recommend that you don't bring this niece into your family. The husband was troubled, and so he just asked the pastor, do you have a problem? Is there an issue? Do you not trust my character or my integrity? And the pastor said, no, it's not. I don't trust your humanity. Well, one thing led to another, and the couple decided to bring in the niece into their family. Well, it wasn't long before the husband and the niece fell into immorality. What made it even worse is that the niece became pregnant. With this reality, a whole different ballgame, a whole different reality, a whole different scenario began to unfold. And the couple was wondering, well, do we take this baby in and raise it as our own? And is this now our new family? The birth mom was wondering, what do I do? Do I keep this child on my own? Do I raise it by myself? I'm young and I still got, I don't have the finances. I don't have the foundation. I don't have the resources to raise this baby. And the tension was growing. The challenges were growing. And finally, the pastor stepped back into this relationship and began to bring some direction and wisdom. And finally talked the birth mother into giving Abigail up for adoption. Abigail's life is so much better and so much richer and fuller because of this act of giving Abigail up to adoption. How hard would that be? How emotional drenched would that be? How incredible is that? And yet, all of us that see these situations and know Abigail now think, wow, what if Abigail's mom never gave up Abigail to this family? When we think of giving, we often think of money, but being generous means so much more than just money. You can be generous with your words, a kind word, a compliment. You and I have been inspired. We've seen what just one word can do into the psyche, the emotional state of someone that just receives a word. It's someone being generous with their words. You can be generous with your attention. There are families and there are kids, there are spouses that are just craving for their significant relationship, that individual in their life, to give them attention. we can be generous, obviously, with our money, but you can also be generous with your influence. You can open doors for people. You can connect people just because of the influence that you have. You can be generous with your possessions, but probably you can be more generous with your time. In this lesson, in these next few weeks, I really want to show you. I want to show you stories. You're going to hear examples of people that have been generous with the things that they can and they do have in their life and how they've given that away. And their lives are so much better because they become generous with their life and their heart has awakened to being generous. See, generosity and generous people are just everyday people. They're normal people, just like you and I, that have overcome the usual excuses that come up when we are faced with whether we're going to be generous or not. Excuses such as, I can start being generous when I'm more established, when I have a better life, when I'm in a better position, when I've got more things, and then I can be generous. Or maybe the excuse of, I'm just too poor to give. I don't have, what could I give? Or maybe the excuse, right now I need to focus on myself or focus on my family. That's the tendency, is to always focus in, always about us. Or maybe the excuse being, generous acts don't really matter unless they're big and unless they're grand, unless they're like have a lot of fireworks. That's only the time that generosity really matters. But that's just not true. See, the truth is, we're wired as humans to be generous. We're hardwired this way. That's the way we're originally created, to be givers and to give and to be generous. That's when we live our best and fullest life. That's when life is good, and that's when we feel healthy and there's a lot of joy and peace and fulfillment in our life, is when we lean into really the reality of our heart to be generous. You may have a story where the time you were generous. It may be someone that needed help and you were there to give help. It could be someone that stopped you for directions and all of a sudden you begin to give them direction, and when they walked away or drove away, there was just you were washed with a flood of good feelings, man. There was just like, wow, that just feels good to help. That just feels right to help. My hope is that in this next few sessions that you are inspired, challenged, but more importantly, you actually change from being a person that knows to be a person that really acts on being generous. Winston Churchill said a famous quote, "We make a living by what we earn, but we make a life by what we give." Let that ring true to you. We make a living by what we earn, but really, we make a life by what we give. These words really are anchored into a Bible verse, Acts chapter 20, verse 35. And really this week, I'd like it to be your homework. I'd like it to be your prayer. I'd like for you to take Acts 20 and 35 and, man, just pray over that every day and let its words wash over you. Because when I say Acts 20, 35, you're going to know them. They're not new to you, but I do pray that you look at them in an entirely different way. Acts 20, 35 is Paul writing about himself. He's describing how he doesn't want anyone to ever think that he took advantage of anybody or that he ever became a burden to anybody, but that there was something in him that really challenged him. And this verse is something that I want you to know. Acts 20, verse 35 says, "And I've been a constant example of how you can help those in need by working hard. You should remember the words of the Lord Jesus. It is more blessed to give than to receive." It is more blessed to give than to receive. This verse is challenging us to be generous. It is more blessed to give than to receive. He never mentions money. He doesn't mention what it is. He doesn't tell us how to do that. He just reminds us of a strong, important biblical principle. It's more blessed to give than to receive. It's a strong word that I pray that begins to challenge us even now. Because here's the key that I want you to understand. Here's the key that needs to be spoken of and needs to be declared and needs to be clarified. And it's this truth about giving. There is something incredible that happens about giving when it's your idea. It's not because someone comes to ask or someone's knocking on the door or someone stops you and asks you to help in anything or give them this. And it's when it's your idea. When this thought, this idea springs up in your heart, in your mind, and you say, I want to jump into that. I want to help in that area. I want to meet that need. I accept that challenge. When giving becomes your idea, man, it's a game changer. Here's the challenge, though, and the problem is that life and our current realities stomp out and push back against that. We become protected, reserved, and guarded, and we don't allow those thoughts, those inspirational ideas, or we don't allow needs. We put blinders on, and we live our lives looking just at enough to make it through. But all around us are opportunities for us to live better, to make a difference. The challenge is when giving is your idea. When it's your idea, it's a game changer. I read something a while ago that really became an eye-opener to me. And really, when you see this, when I say this, when you see this, you see it everywhere. It's in every place and everything we do. It's in part of our lives. And it's simply this. It's the progression of want. We call it the progression of want. It's more, better, and different. When we start off, we really don't have anything, and we just want something. And once you get something, you want more of it. If you get a job, you want more money. You get clothes, you want more clothes. You buy shoes, you want more. It's more. But there comes a point when you get more, that more is not enough anymore. You want better. So it's not like I have a car, and not that I even have two cars. Now I need a better car. I need a car that has 3 seats and it has 3 rows of seats. I need a car that has a entertainment system. It's not more. I don't just need more. I need better. And then when we get to better, and we got better squared away, it's now we need different. We don't want now just a car with 4 wheels. My goodness, no, we need a candy apple red. We need a name brand. We need it to go so fast. We need it to have all this gadgets and all this great amenities. We go from more, better, and different. But what happens after different? Well, without generosity, different leads to despair. That's why multimillionaires and successful people do crazy things, and some of them even take their life, because more, better, and different is never going to fulfill, never going to satisfy, never going to be what your heart longs for. It's never the way we're intended to live. No, but we continue on that path until we awaken how we're supposed to really live, and that's with a generous heart. And that's what this book really challenged me. And that's why I'm going to challenge you to get it, read it. Let it become something that you begin to let it guide your heart, guide your mind, guide your prayer. Because this is how we're supposed to live, with a generous heart. I'm going to show you some videos that I pray that they're normal, everyday people that have stepped into life, into situations, and decided to be generous. In spite of all the reasons why they shouldn't, all the things why they couldn't, all the excuses why they're not the one. And yet, they did. And because they did, their lives are better. Get ready for the challenge. Thank you for being on the journey with us. God bless
you. My mom and I were homeless for 3 years in Los Angeles. A lot of bad stuff happened to me. I'm just getting a headache thinking about it. I dreamed to be a neurosurgeon, an English professor, or a criminal law attorney. The reason why I wear bow ties is because they make me feel distinguished. It was challenging walking to school and being homeless, because I knew as soon as I stepped foot in the school, then I would be bullied. I really don't want to remember those times, but I know it happened. Being kicked in the groin so hard I couldn't walk home. Being punched my temple so hard I had migraines for 3 months. They would say that I was stupid, that I was ugly. So I didn't have anybody to talk to, I didn't have any friends. It felt like a 1 in a million chance I was being heard.
My name is James T. Betts Jr. I'm mayor of the city of Inglewood. Sometimes people do things that are inexplicable, cruel, that lack respect. On average, 160,000 children across the country don't go to school because of fear of bullying. It continues to act as a subculture within schools, just as it does in workplaces. Joshua appears to be a prodigy. And so my advice to Joshua has always been to keep his eye on the prize.
In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. My mom always encouraged me and built me back up to be a better person than I was the day before. I didn't want other people to go through what I went through. The way I turned that into generosity was tutoring students. I wanted to be a light or a voice for them, being able to provide to others what I didn't really have.
The ultimate in maturation is when you develop the capacity to be self-sacrificing in your efforts to help others, even those that you don't know.
I want to live in a bully-free society. My poem is entitled, Why Bully Me? Bully me, bully me. Why is this happening to me? Bully me, bully me. I thought you saw a friend in me. Why do you bully me? Am I your enemy? Like a tortoise in a shell, I am too afraid to tell. Why me? Why me? Sometimes I don't want to be me. Bully me, bully me. How about being kind to me? What should memories of school be for me? Should it be of the ones who bullied me? Or should it be of the wonderful, incredible, intelligent me?